Welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast. Here to talk all things hockey are your hosts, Brad Crisco, Ryan Hanna, and Evan Lobsinger.
Brad, why have you been up for 15 hours?
Because I have children and they don't care that it's a quarantine.
That's
Evan,
very selfish of your children.
It is very selfish of your children. Evan, have you been up for 15 hours?
I got up at 7:55 today, 5 minutes before I start work.
Oh, yeah.
And if my math is correct, that means I have not. I'm close. I'm 13.
Mel has had a 8:30 interview. Right.
Oh.
No, 8:30 meetings every day of this quarantine since we started working from home. Like legitimately every day. And every morning, I cannot stop my stupid garbage existence from rolling over as she gets out of bed at 8:27 and saying, "Have a good commute."
That is awful.
And I'm sorry about it. I really am sorry about it. The names today on the podcast are a little bit more fun. I literally just got yours now, Brad. Welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast. I'm Brad's barber.
I'm Dustin E. Child.
I don't get that.
Destiny Child.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was doing a hard Dustin. We might need to edit that out.
A hard Dustin is definitely a sex thing in like 43 states in 6 provinces.
Hold on, I'm pulling up Urban Dictionary as we speak.
Oh, please don't. Famous last words. Last episode we had a little hitch with the new remote podcasting tools we've been using. So for those who haven't caught on or who maybe haven't tuned in a little while, we are quarantining in our own respective homes and doing this podcast remotely via webcam and audio. So the technical hoops that we have to jump through are a little bit more plentiful right now. So bear with us as we work through those. And last episode, Evan's computer had a little glitch where he lost about 7 seconds of recording and it just chopped him out. And so during overtime, people kept saying, "Why is Evan just talking over you guys?" And I went, "What?" And someone went, "Oh, I think the audio is out of sync," which has never happened. Usually the video is out of sync from the audio, but never just the audio. And I went and looked, or listened, I should say, and it was just like Evan's audio got chopped, but half the people who reported it just thought Evan stopped caring about the conversation and just started talking over us, which says a lot about us as a podcast, I think.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but my computer pooped its pants and...
Hold on. You don't know what happened. Evan, tell everyone that before Brad and I berated you, what tabs and windows you had open before we clicked record on this podcast.
No, it's incriminating almost. Let's say I'm multitasking times 5 or 6.
He had a gaming stream up on a website that rhymes with Switch. He had a page of GIFs. He had 2 presentations open. He had recording software because his computer is the one recording the video for this. Because it was melting mine. Anything else that I missed, Evan? Oh, this video conference. Yeah. What else?
I had an entire GIF page open. If you didn't say that.
Yeah. Well,
just a couple memory intensive things. Nothing to be alarmed about.
And those are only the things we can say because this is a child-friendly podcast.
Exactly. The patron exclusive episode gets the full list.
Oh, and if you guys haven't listened, 2 things have dropped on Patreon since our last episode. Brad dropped his preliminary draft rankings, or his first full round of draft rankings. So go check out that list. And then we also dropped our newest Patreon exclusive episode. That's not the top 5 Joe moments. This is an all Q&A episode using questions that we asked, or questions that you guys asked like a month or 2 ago. So that's a little proof of concept. So you guys can tell us whether you want to do more, and then you can give us some more questions or fewer. I don't know. I don't care. It's your life. Quarantine. Do what you do. I hope everyone's doing okay. I don't think we say that enough. I hope everyone's doing all right.
I'm just
this
bored.
Is hard.
I'm running out of things to do.
What's a hard realization is when you feel like exhausted or like no motivation for something, and you're like, where do I get off thinking that? Like, we were sitting in the living room after work, and we literally were just like mucking about on the couch. We just turned it to yams and did nothing. And I groaned. I was like, oh, we got to get up and have dinner and do something. And then I have to go up and record this podcast. And I went, oh my God, how am I complaining? We don't do anything. We don't do anything.
You get sick and tired of the things that you used to do that you would just fill your time with. And now you can't even fill your time with those because you don't like them anymore. Like video games. I can only play so much. I'm just bored. I need something new.
I mean, you've logged a lot of hours on Animal Crossing. Like, you're just obsessed.
Thousands. I'm like Doc Antle now. But with more wives.
Did you guys watch the extra episode they dropped?
I did
of
not.
Tiger King?
Is it
I haven't either.
I have.
Is it good?
Meh.
Right,
It's just interviews. Joel McHale, for whatever reason, is Joel McHale, interviews a bunch of the people that were in the documentary, and they don't say anything we didn't really already know. They just give their opinions on everybody for the most part, and it was the most weirdly edited interview I've ever seen. Like, you could tell they just like talked to each of these people for like an hour and a half, but only put like 7 minutes in and didn't put the full context behind every answer. So it was fine. It was worth a watch considering we have nothing better to do, but I had higher expectations.
So just like the show then.
Yeah.
Not the higher expectations, though. I don't think anyone could have walked into that show and not had those exact, or had lower expectations than what they got. All right, hockey. On this episode of the Winged Wheel podcast, we are going to be chatting about stuff, just to talk about that hockey. There's a few interesting what ifs, rank these, compare these kind of things that have gone out in terms of all-time teams, jerseys. We might take a look at next year's team, just a quick mock-up of what that might look like, and then get into our draft profiles before maybe one or two quick hits and then overtime. So the Red Wings have put out a list of two different teams, or all-time Red Wing teams. It is an all-world Red Wings team and an all-North America team, and pretty much saying which one would you pick. And I thought this was a pretty interesting exercise because I don't know, we might get different answers here. Do you guys have those in front of you?
Yes.
Very quickly, the all-world team. First line, Kozlov, Fedorov, Hossa. Second line, Holmstrom, Datsuk, Franzen. Third line, Nyquist, Zetterberg, Klima. And fourth line, Tatar, Larionov, Hudler. Defensive pairings, Lidstrom, Konstantinov, Kronwall, Fetisov, Eriksson, Yuri, Fisher. Goalies, Hasek and Mrazek. And then for Team North America, you have Lindsay, Yzerman, Howe, Shanahan, Dion, Mickey Redmond, Probert, Delvecchio, Ogrodnik, and Gallant, Allman, Cicerelli. And then the defensive pairs are Red Kelly, Chris Chelios, Reed Larson, Pronovost, and Bergman, Rafalski. And then goalies are Terry Sawchuk and Chris Osgood. Which one of those teams would you take?
Team World loses by default because they had to put Jonathan Ericsson on there.
Yeah, is there no one better than Ericsson to stick on there?
You would think so, but the fact that nobody immediately came to mind is a little concerning. I've been trying.
Philip Hronik.
Honestly, yeah.
Like, it's not unreasonable to say that he'll probably project better over the course of a career.
I would think, like, I have a gut feeling Hronik's already passed Ericsson's career point total.
Do you actually think so?
Just look at
it's probably close. I don't think he actually has, because Ericsson's played for like 11 or 12 years. But yeah, it's probably closer than it should be.
Just look at those the differences in those fourth lines. Like Gerard Gallant, Norm Allman, and Dino Cicerelli versus Tatar Larionov, which that's the odd man out, and Yuri Hudler.
Yeah, no, I'm taking Team North America like 10 out of 10 times here. I give the advantages to the all-world team on their first pair of defense. Probably their second pair of defense and their starting goalie, and maybe the third line. Everything else goes to North America. Their first line's better. Their second line's better. Their fourth line's better. I'd probably take Osgood over Mrazek, so the emergency goalie's better. Bottom basement defensive pairing's way better. And I mean, man, when your first line's Howe, Yzerman, Lindsay, like,
yeah, that's hard.
How could you not? That line, even out against Lidstrom, Konstantinov, would do a lot of damage.
Okay, but what if they did the lines differently? Like, what if they stuck Zetterberg on one of Datsuk's wings, and all of a sudden you have Zetterberg, Datsuk, Franzen, or Zetterberg, Datsuk, Holmstrom, which used to be a line in the day? That would be...
Who's the center there then? Because you're pulling Zetterberg out of his position.
Well, they did it. They did it in real life, right? For a long time.
Yeah, but then, I mean,
wouldn't that be better than Dion, Shanahan, Redmond?
Yeah, but then if you take Zetterberg off that third line, the third line of Team North America would just clown the third line of the all-world team. Like, Zetterberg's the only reason I give that line the advantage. If you pull him off it, that bottom six, it's comically worse. Not comically, but it's significantly worse.
Lidstrom, Konstantinov, Kronwall, Fetisov is a way better top four, though.
I mean, I think we're selling Red Kelly and Chris Chelios a little short there. Reed Larson, I think I mentioned him as one of them when we had that Patreon question a while back about the most underappreciated Red Wings. Pronovo is a Hall of Famer too, I believe. So I definitely give the advantage to the all world, but I don't think it's a chasm between the two.
Honestly, like, you're probably right in saying Team North America, and it's all decided by that first line.
Yeah, I mean, Lindsay, Yzerman, Howe. Like, Lindsay, Yzerman, Howe. As much as we love
right there.
Yeah, as much as we love Fedorov at center, he's not better than Yzerman. And then it's Kozlov and Hossa against Lindsay and Howe.
Hot take, it should have been Sergei Fedorov also on the third pair defense instead of Jonathan Ericsson.
There's the answer. That is the proper answer.
Like, that man could have won a Norris.
No, like, the more I think about it, I'm absolutely positive we should have put Philip Hronek instead of Jonathan Ericsson there.
Like,
actually.
He has 50-something points compared to Ericsson's 125, but he's
halfway there in 9 less seasons.
Well, under half, but in, a sixth of the games, essentially.
Yeah.
So, that won't take long. Ericsson might just be like name recognition. I'm sure there's someone's gonna, whenever we have discussions like this, people always bring up names that we missed because my recall is terrible. Like, the moment I have to try to recall something, like, what's the name of that actor in this movie? My brain's just like, oh, hey, by the way, we're not going to be doing that. So good luck in this conversation.
Would you put Andreas Lilia ahead of Jonathan Ericsson? I probably would.
What about Yuri Fisher? Was he on the list?
He's Ericsson's D partner in this.
Oh, yeah, he is.
Okay, look. I think Lilia was treated the way Ericsson should have been in terms of when he was deemed expendable. So the answer to this does go to Ericsson, I suppose, but only because he was held to in higher esteem than Lilia for one reason or another. I don't think Lilia was perfect. I think he was effective at times, and when he stopped being effective, he was gone. I don't know. I don't know if I would have, if that's such a clear-cut answer where I'd put Lilia up there.
I'm digging through all of the Red Wings defensemen of all time.
Oh, here's Evan's mid-episode of research. He usually comes up with stuff, like obvious stuff that we're missing too, so it's incredibly useful.
It's hard. There's a lot of people who've played under 10 games. Not good. Not good.
Remember they put Hoss on the first line and he played one season.
Remember Robbie Russo?
Oh, yeah. We never did get that 7th round pick for him.
Oh, no, we didn't, eh?
No.
Robbie Russo fit into that crowd of had a lot of fans on Red Wings Twitter because he was with the Griffins and then got moved. And there's obviously a very strong Red Wings.
What about Xavier Ouellet? No, he's not.
No,
he's not.
I'm not.
Would he count? He was born in France, but he played internationally for Canada.
Did he?
Yeah, he was on the World Junior team.
Huh.
With Anthony Mantha, I believe, actually.
Anthony Mantha might be a better choice, and he's Canadian and not a defenseman.
You know what? Ericsson might be on the list.
Oh, frick.
It's not looking great.
Like I
That's
said,
not good.
Hronik or Fedorov plays double duty.
Oh, that is not good.
Anders Eriksson. There we
What
go.
about Jakob Kindle?
No.
No.
No, look, and I will be the first to strike down Ericsson's good name given the opportunity because I think he's been given way more esteem than he should have been, but Kindle did not do it.
No
The
offense
only
there.
thing Kindle did better was being drafted higher. That's it.
No
Kindle
offense to-
scored an overtime goal against the Toronto Maple Leafs, so I think by default that puts him ahead.
I think Philip Hronik wins. I don't see anybody. There's a lot.
Oh,
But I don't-
I've got it. Mo Sider.
Yeah, maybe.
I
It's
was going to say
amazing.
Mo Sider is a joke, and then I realized Hronik was actually a halfway reasonable answer.
Oh man, the Red Wings have a stable of European defensemen coming. You got to think a good chunk of Sider, Tuomisto, Johansson will pan out. So
Lindstrom.
Lindstrom, yeah, he should. I would bet on him having a better career than Eriksson, even though I'm not super high on him.
I don't know, guys. I think everyone should tweet at Brad again to tell him he's wrong about Lindstrom.
I'm not
Before the
degrading
episode,
Lindstrom. This is okay. Gustav Lindstrom on defense is treated the way Christopher N is treated on forward. They get so much love for not being incompetent. Guys, raise the bar. Please, I'm begging all of you. I have seen so many arguments on the subreddit and Twitter, not as much about Lindstrom lately, but for whatever reason, Christopher N. Oh, he's a great skater and he's defensively. Yes, and he has 4 points a season. I don't care. You can be a god defensively, but if you are just that catastrophically bad offensively, how are you going to be a net positive on the season? How?
I think anyone, it just is such a replaceable role where anyone could get 4 points.
If you want to have an argument with me about why Christopher N should be in the lineup over Dominic Turgeon, or he's there to leave Rasmussen in the minors to develop, yeah, if you want to have I'm all for it. I get it. I probably agree with you. But if Christopher N is on this team in 3 years, we have a big effing problem. And Gustav Lindstrom is like a little above that for me. If he's the number 6 guy, I'm good with that. But if he's playing in our top 4, we have problems.
So we have it now on the record. Brad literally hates Gustav Lindstrom. Moving on.
Oh, God damn it.
See, it's quarantine, so you can't hit me from where you are.
Yeah, no, you know, what's that scene from The Office where I'm just taking notes? It's a count. I know how many shots I have to get in the next time I'm in the same room as you.
What Office characters are we?
Oh, God, I don't even want to know the answer to that.
I hate giving this to Evan, but he is Jim.
Yes, I'm the only good one.
Evan literally is Jim. Oh, man. I don't want to know the answers to this. Maybe we shouldn't go further than that.
No.
There's points where you're Creed, Brad.
Okay. I haven't watched enough of The Office to be able to know.
And there's points where you're Dwight.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I don't want to say Dwight, but sometimes.
Sometimes. Okay. There's been these things going around from teams where they like list 9 different jerseys or logo variations, and they're like, you have to keep 3.
I'm sick of these. Not just the jersey things, but the 9-panel thing. All my Twitter feed is 9-panel quizzes now. Please, people, be more creative.
No, people. No, don't let Brad place these unrealistic expectations on you. We need content, Brad.
So
Bradley,
do better content. We've somehow managed to go over an hour every episode with nothing to talk about. If 3 dumbasses like us can pull content out of our butt, people can do better than 9 images on Twitter.
Anyways, we're going to talk about 9 images on Twitter.
I hate everything right now.
Okay, the 9 different jerseys put out are the modern D Stadium Series jersey with the white gloves.
This is going to be a high point for content this episode, is listening to Ryan describe 9 jerseys.
Barber Pole, Toronto Winter Classic, or the Big House Winter Classic, the Toronto Centennial Classic, Red Wings home, the like classic Gordie Howe home jersey from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, I believe. Like that's not where the jersey's from, but just as a reference so you guys know which one I'm talking about. Wrigley Field Winter Classic, black and white All-Star Game, and then regular away. Pick 3 to keep.
Current home away barber pole. Thanks. Moving on.
It's hard to... Which would you prefer? If you had to keep one between the current home and the current away, which would you keep?
Probably the home. You always got to go with the red.
They're both beautiful. They're both like
Yeah.
classic jerseys. But there's just something... Maybe it's nostalgic, but there's just something so iconic about the white jersey with the red sleeves.
Yeah. I love it, but red is red. Like we're the Red Wings. We need a red jersey.
Winter Classic from the Big House, current home, and current away.
Yeah, you can't not have those two in there. They're classic. They're iconic. There's a reason the Red Wings haven't changed those jerseys in the better part of a century.
Evan, if you had to pick your 3 favorites.
What were the 3 again? Barber pole.
Or what were the 9, you mean?
Oh, you're making him relist it? God. Pick your 3
Sorry.
favorite Red Wings jerseys. You know Red Wings jerseys.
The Winter Classic at the Big House, our current ones, and Barber Pole.
Okay.
Actually, no, I like the other Winter Classic one as well.
Yeah, that one was
With
hard
the
to
D.
leave off. Yeah. I almost took that one over the regular away jersey, but I felt that made me feel like a heretic, so I didn't do it. Now, anyways, if you guys want to know, want more, pick one from these 9 content pieces, send them to me, and I'll make sure to shoehorn them in the episode, so Brad has no choice but to answer.
The first couple were fun, and I think I even participated in a few of them on Twitter, and then it's all it was. It's like, if you can only pick 3 veggies, I don't care. I picked none. Piss off. I've been eating my daughter's Easter candy.
Onions?
There'll be one soon, and I'm sure I'll be tagged in it.
You get tagged in all the Dallas Stars content because of that picture of you.
One
floating
picture
around.
from like 12 years ago, yeah. Actually, it's funny, though. If you go, I've made all my shit private now, but it'd get worse if people ever found my childhood pictures, because Kitchener used to be the junior Stars growing up. I think my Instagram profile picture, I put a minor hockey picture of myself in the Stars uniform.
That's
The old
good
Kitchener
stuff right there.
Stars.
Again, everyone, I do have access to Brad's social media, so for a high price, I can send those pictures over to you.
Buddy, I am begging for an excuse to delete all of it. Please give it to me.
Okay, let's get over to draft content. The topic of today's NHL Draft prospect profile is none other than Noel or Noel. I don't know which one it actually is. Gunler.
Gunler, if you want to be specific, but that sounds weird, so I'm going to call him Gunler.
Out of the SHL, he's a right winger. So, Brad, take us away on Gunler.
I feel like it would be unfair to call him this year's Josh Ho-Sang, but I feel like he's this year's Josh Ho-Sang. The talent cannot be questioned. The guy is not far behind Lucas Raymond and Alex Holtz for the best Swedish prospect going into this draft. On a pure talent level, he might actually be right there with them. Horrendously inconsistent. Like, you hear that a lot, and it's like, oh, he has a good game and then a not as good game. Gunler's been the guy. He'll have a dominant game in the SHL and then be almost literally invisible the next game. It's stunning how night and day he is. When he's on, he doesn't have many weaknesses in his game. He's a good skater, a fantastic shot, good playmaker, excellent hands. When he's on, he's actually a good defensive player as well. The problem is that seems to be 50 to 75% of the time. The biggest red flag for me with Gunler isn't just the inconsistency. It's that he was left off of every major Swedish international team this year. So these are the people who would know him better than anybody else, and they're not putting him. He didn't make the U18s last year. He wasn't on the World Junior team. It's concerning. Like, why would a guy with that talent not be on those teams? So again, I always look at upside, but these are a lot of red flags. And I don't know if he's got attitude issues, and I hate speculating on that stuff, but the way people talk about him, he appears to be this year's Josh Hosang.
Yeah, the point you made about him not being featured in major international tournaments is, again, agreeably disappointing. How telling it is, I think it's tough because he's playing on a good SHL team, right? So how much he's exposed makes a little bit of a harder sell for him. But in general, in Europe, that's not always held against players for the kind of tournaments he didn't get picked for. So there is something to be said, like you mentioned, about the eyes that would know him best as a Swedish prospect, not selecting him for those competitions. So from a prospect analysis standpoint, and from making an argument for himself as a high-end draft pick standpoint, that was it wasn't very. It didn't paint him in a great picture. That said, it is important to note, he's a supreme shooting talent. He's one of the best shooting talents in this draft. I think probably a top 5 shooting talent. And I think that's because there's a ton of good goal scorers coming in the first round here. The consistency thing, there's a certain allowance in my head where I'm okay with the player not being consistent, because development is development, right? Like, a player is not a perfect version of themselves the whole way through their growth as a hockey player. So part of that is being able to put out the best product on the ice every single game in and game out. And that doesn't come naturally for everyone, or that doesn't come right away. So I'm usually pretty forgiving on that, but still, for him, it's enough where it does also draw a concern.
And to juxtapose this all, of him being left off the Swedish teams, like you said, playing on a very good Luleå team in the SHL, his usage and role went up throughout the year. So he clearly earned his coach's trust on that team despite the inconsistencies. So that would be a tick in the positive box. Yeah,
for sure. He's got good skill, and like I said, a good shooting talent. I don't think there's a lot to be said for his skating. I don't think it's particularly great. He's not he's a winger. He's a scoring winger with offensive talent. So you're never going to expect him to be a good defensive player, but he works best on one end of the ice, and that's the end of that. So he seems to be like I'm drafting middle of the first round, and I need to swing for the fences on a guy who could end up being a top 10 talent in this draft kind of pick. So he's got skill. It doesn't scream at you that it's like elite high-end skill, or he's going to for sure pan out. Like, Hosang is a great, I was surprised when you said that, but it makes a lot of sense. He's a big risk in my mind in terms of what you'd be asking of him, drafting him anywhere like 15 or above.
Basically, he's a project. Like, he's going to take 3-4 years, and there's not a lot of teams who want to wait that long in the first round. There are teams that have that luxury of waiting, but when you draft in the first round, your idea is to have that player in the NHL within 1, 2, 3 seasons at the absolute longest.
And old school hockey mentality exists. So again, to compare directly to Hosang, there's no way I could see Lou Lamoriello drafting this guy, because that old school mentality still exists in a lot of organizations. So I would argue before the draft even starts, there are not 31 options for him in the first round.
Really? You think so?
I truly believe that. I don't agree with it. If Gunler slips out of the first round, unless someone else very prominent slips, I'll be screaming for Detroit to draft him at 32.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know it's going to happen. It always happens. Whether these character issues are founded or not, teams believe them. They buy into them. And given that there probably won't be a combine this year, there might not be interviews, teams won't get a good face-to-face feel on the kid. So he might be on the do not draft list, because it wasn't that many years ago where how many reports came out that there were several teams that had Ryan Merkley just simply do not draft. Yeah. If he was available in the third round, they were not going to take him. Those teams will not take Noel Gunler.
Can you imagine how much Ken Holland is pulling out his hair that not being able to interview these kids? How will he know if he's a good hockey kid? How will he... I don't know if he's a good, he's the right character and the kind of guy you want in your system. Just a winning attitude and good 100% solid kid. I was a Mike Babcock voice, not a Ken Holland voice. I'm sorry.
Yeah. When you just take out the vowels, that's Mike Babcock.
Yeah, essentially everything is an A that sounds like an O, or just a straight up O with Mike Babcock.
He's a good player.
Yeah, good player. Well, that was what drove me nuts when they picked Rasmussen, right? Like they talked about his interview and how much he impressed him in his interview, and I'm like, it's not the end.
There's a lot of con men selling snake oil out there.
Not that Rasmussen is one of those guys. By all reports, he's a good dude. But yeah, no, employers have hired me. Anybody can bullshit a way through an interview, okay?
And like, it's not a job interview, admittedly. I don't know. What do I know? I also
Kind of is.
It actually very much is.
It literally is. I don't know why I said that.
It's more of like a job conversation because the players have, I guess, little choice on if they go there or not. But they can base that conversation on the, yay, I'm happy to be here, or, oh God, here we go.
Who was it? Was it Kirby Doc that said Yzerman asked him if he smoked weed?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
It was Kirby Doc and Alex Turcotte, and they were smoking that shit up every day. I just love the idea of Steve Yzerman, like, because we all know Steve Yzerman, right? Like, we watched him as a Red Wing for 20 years. So, like, him playing it very close to the chest as a GM, that's GM Steve Yzerman. That's not Steve Yzerman, the person. So, like, behind closed doors, he just walks in. You smoke that kush? You got that good on you right now?
You're rolling a blunt? What's that smell? Let me smell your breath.
I don't think you smell weed on people's breath. Oh, maybe you do. I don't know.
You can I don't know if it's off their breath, but you can always smell it on them.
Brad, this is wholesome content here. Not all of us do that, okay?
I don't.
Evan has a cross in the background. Please.
It's true.
Actually.
No, he does not.
I was looking for it. I'm like, I'd believe it.
What would be the most, like, if you're a GM in a draft interview room, like, what do you actually care to ask? I would love to be a fly on the wall for one of those.
Teams, the New Jersey Devils actually employ a psychologist to build out their questions and be part of the interview. They don't care what the answer is. They care the player's approach to the answer. Don't ask why. I've actually read several articles and listened to several interviews about the subject.
Why?
Because I'm a broken human being. They want to keep the kids on their toes. They want honest responses. They want confidence, but they don't want arrogance. It's tricky. So they ask the questions to get as best possible to get the player's personality to come out. They don't want scripted answers. If someone comes in and gives me perfect answers out of 100 questions I ask, I know they stole the test. Right? Like, you got to keep them on your toes. It's like, it gets mocked all the time, but that one question Spencer Knight got asked is the exact type of question every team asks. What do you prefer more, stopping pucks or preventing goals? And then you have to explain your reasoning why. They don't care what your answer is. It's the same thing either way, but they want to see how you get to that answer.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. It's just funny. Like, you grow up playing hockey, and the best hockey players you know are still just as liable to be complete, total fucking meatheads. Just like, 53 average in any science or math courses, but just gets by because they're an amazing hockey player. And it doesn't, like, a stupid person in like everyday life does not make for a stupid hockey player. Like, one of the smartest defensive partners I've ever had in my life was just like, oh man, he could not make his way through a group project. Good dude. Like, tried his hardest, but just couldn't do it in school, but like such a smart defenseman. It's like when you hear Drew Doughty talk, and like when Drew Doughty was in his prime, like you wanted like an incredibly smart defenseman. But then you hear him talk, you're like, oh, buddy, yeah, that's. I'm glad you're really good at hockey.
Just, oh, good for you.
So it's funny to like, and it makes sense that it like gets put together this way. But it's funny that so much stock is put into these guys having an everyday real life interview. I'm not saying it's unimportant. I'm not saying it's wrong. Like, no, it definitely exists for a reason. It's just such a weird like juxtaposition because you compare that to job interviews and it's like a whole different world.
Like, I mean, it's all part of getting every piece of information you can get. So if we were the Detroit Red Wings picking 4th overall, and let's say the top 3 went Lafreniere, Byfield, Rossi. So we've been flip-flopping on Raymond and Stützle all year. Well, what if one of those 2 guys was an absolute meathead in the interview and the other one was a very well-spoken, well-reasoned young kid? I mean, Ty's going to the better interview. You're going to take the guy, oh, this guy seems like he has a better head on his shoulders, so he'll probably adapt better. He'll probably learn more. He'll probably fit in better. So not that that would be what makes you pick that player, but it sure as hell would be an effective tiebreaker.
To me, what it shows in a one-on however many people are in the room, it shows how the players handle stressful situations like this. It kind of can illustrate their values and who they are as people, which people might not hold stock in, but it does matter when you surround this person in high pressure, high financial situations, with other people in the same boat. So someone who interviews poorly may still be a great hockey player, but you'd probably feel more comfortable with the person you connect with in that interview and who gives better answers.
And never forget that it can always go the other way too, because one of the most well put together, thoughtful, intelligent prospects I ever talked to when I was working the NHLPA showcase back in the day was Eric Goodbranson. And we know how his career panned out. And if you've ever heard Bill Belichick's story about his pro day interview with Rob Gronkowski, it's something to behold. They walked into the office and Gronk was sleeping on the floor.
Well, if you thought Gronkowski was going to split the atom, you were probably an idiot.
Which Red Wing had the worst interview? Is it Bert?
Yeah.
Like, it depends on worst. If you're talking who had the most like bro interview, yeah, it would have absolutely been Bert. I don't know. There's no way to know.
I'm like, no, of course there's no way to know. Like, guys like Larson and Rasmussen, like, they for sure had great interviews. Just like classic good old hockey boys. But like, who definitely went in and just like got drafted based on who they were as a player, and they were just like, well, that was a shit interview, but the guy plays hockey. So
someone in the 6th round. Because the Red Wings absolutely strike me as the organization where an absolutely terrible interview would prevent them from drafting someone. I could absolutely see it.
Do 6th round players even get talked to?
If they were projected in the 3rd, maybe.
I think it would have been like, as of the Red Wings' current roster, it must have been like Tyler Bertuzzi probably had the most like bro interview.
No, there's no way, because he was a reach when they picked him. If they hated his interview, they would have waited till the 3rd or 4th round and still maybe got him.
Well, they picked him because Chris Draper, who wasn't the director of scouting at the time, was all over him and said like, we need to take this guy. That was a Chris Draper pick.
Yeah, still, he would have been in there for the interview though, right? The interview I'm most fascinated about, obviously it didn't prevent them from picking him, is Zadina's. Because Zadina's a very well put together, well spoken kid, but he's confident, borderline cocky, and generally that's not a trait the Red Wings seem to have in their organization at any point. But they obviously liked him enough to still pick him because his talent level is so ridiculous. And I like that attitude. Like, if I'm a GM in a room, that's a tick in the positive box for me. But the Red Wings always strike me as the organization that isn't, at least under the Holland regime, is, because it sounds bad to say because I like the guys individually, but the Red Wings, personality-wise, might have the most boring locker room in the NHL, right?
Uh-oh.
So I don't think that's a coincidence.
Another shot at Gustav Lindstrom. Lay off him, Brad. Jeez. Come on. Looking through the current Red Wings roster, I was like, wow, we do not, like, this is not the 98 Red Wings, Like, this is a whole different beast.
Yeah, no, there's no Fedorov personalities in there. There's no Shanahans in there. Some guys do. Like, it looked like, who was it? Mantha, Larkin, Bertuzzi, Athanasiou had a little bro crew going. I think Bowie worked his way into that group. The 2 Czech Phillips could be pretty fun long term. They seem to be pretty outgoing guys. But yeah, it's Cider, save us.
I as much as I get on Bowie for not playing or for his defensive play, I think he would be like one of the top picks for who would you want to go hang out with.
I was watching an interview where the players interviewed each other. I think it was Bertuzzi and Fabry. And when Bertuzzi asked Fabry who the two players he'd be stuck on a stranded island with, who he'd pick, and he picked Bertuzzi and Bowie. So,
Bowie seems like a good dude.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to move us along here to a couple topics that we've been talking about continuously, but it's a mix of we can't get away from it and just kind of continuing the conversation. More and more conversations have been had, obviously, about if when sports can come back, and a little bit more credence is being given to this whole isolate the players, play in an empty arena idea. And we've talked before about skepticism on why that wouldn't work in our minds, or why it would be at risk for not working, and then obviously the benefits, which would be we'd have hockey back. But essentially the messaging right now from Bettman is pretty conservative. He's not leaning too far one way or another. He's saying, I can see us, like, if we're going to come back, it's going to be mid to end of summer, which we can do, but that's all he's saying. And he's like, that's my guess, and we're not going to do it until public health professionals say that's okay. So like, that makes sense. But at the same time, like, I'm just more and more getting the read that like you're talking about isolating players in like one or two hotels and playing in like one or two arenas, and like that's a conversation that's happening. That is the straws being grasped at. Like, that is last resort ideas, and that's what's on the table right now.
That's not last resort, though, because the problem with situations like this is because that's the most outlandish idea. That's what's going to get the airtime. The NHL probably still has contingency plans in place for teams playing in their own barns in July and August or whenever it is. They have that plan, but that's not a fun topic to talk about because it's not that weird. Playing March Madness style tournament in North Dakota is very chaotic and very fun. So of course that's what everybody's going to talk about, because Bettman did say today that he's looking at they're playing games in the summer now, which I don't think comes as a surprise to anybody. I don't think even the most optimistic of us saw a game coming before July 1st. But yeah, I'm pro whatever gets us hockey. I don't care if they scrap the regular season, points percentage, playoffs, best of 3 series, only 3 rounds. Fine. Cool. Do it. Give us hockey. I don't care what it is. I have my opinions of what I think would work best given the circumstances, but splitting hairs, none of this is going to be ideal. None of the solutions are going to be good. I think people need to accept that now. Whatever option they pick, relatively speaking, is going to suck. It's just what's sucky or less sucky. That's going to be the answer. So if you sit here saying, oh, they're playing a tournament in North Dakota and that's stupid. Well, yeah, your other option was no hockey. So are you really going to complain?
Hey, guess what? We're not going to have any hockey this summer. Hey, we don't have this under control. There's not going to be any pro sports.
Hey, Evan, the PGA's coming back in June.
I sure hope so, because I'm losing my mind.
They actually have confirmed that. I think June 11th, they're holding a tournament.
Didn't Florida say the WWE was considered an essential sport?
I think all sports in Florida were considered essential services. So the Florida Panthers and Tampa Bay Lightning are hosting the playoffs. Congratulations.
Perfect. They're in. To me, this is just Gary Bettman saving face, because no commissioners right now want to say, yep, we're done. We can't have any more of whatever our sport is. Like, there's probably sponsorship, financial, TV contract deals that if one of the commissioners say we're done, there could be implications in terms of returned money. I'm not too sure what it would be, but I think he's just saving face and just keep saying, yeah, maybe there will be, in hopes of that miracle chance that this happens. But I'm reserved now to the fact that there's not going to be any hockey until this gets sorted out. There may not even be hockey come November.
I'm going to still take the optimistic approach, because the one thing that I think gets lost in all of this is the great unknown, and the fact that even if we're talking July 1st, which I said would be the most optimistic timeline, that's still 2.5 months from now. Now, do I think pandemic's going to be under control by then? No, of course not. We as a society we suck too much to get it under control in that amount of time. But what could happen in that time is we get a better understanding of how to properly quarantine, how to properly social distance, how we might have a thing of, the pandemic's still going, not as severe as it was, but if you follow protocols X, Y, and Z, you could pull this off. That's something that could come from this. Again, taking the optimistic approach, because I'm with Evan. This isn't going to be under control anytime soon. I don't think I'm going back to work till the fall at this point. But there could be ways this could get done. I'm trying to remain optimistic, because if you're going to sit here and tell me we're not going to have any hockey till November, I'm going to have a breakdown.
I just miss doing the podcast in person.
You do?
I never thought I'd say that, but it was just like, I don't know, this is more fun in person.
Yeah, me too.
Evan loves this. When we come back, Evan's going to try to convince us to do this permanently. This is his...
Yes.
This is Evan's shit right here.
No, he's literally the greatest. I can multitask, freeze the videos, and no one knows until it's already done, and I can escape.
Evan, I got a spoiler for you, buddy. We absolutely know when you're not paying attention still.
Like right now?
There's a few dead giveaways,
He's staring off screen into the distance without even acknowledging a thing we say for 5 minutes.
Evan,
I'm an idiot and decided to run a trivia night on Friday, thinking that would be an easy thing for me to do. It is not.
Are we still doing that?
Oh no! This is for just my friends to see if I can even have the mental capacity to do it. So this is like my beta test right now.
Trial run. Stay tuned, folks.
Yeah.
And then the only spinoff from this conversation is there's been more talk about the draft lottery. And besides all the stupid crap about, give everyone a chance like the Crosby draft lottery, piss off out of here. It
might happen though, and I will be so angry if it does. No. But here's the thing. I have to look at the other side of the coin of this. As much as I would be furious if Detroit's draft odds were dropped, if I was, pick a good team here, the Colorado Avalanche, you're telling me I did all this work, all this job building a very successful team that should be a strong contender to win the Stanley Cup, and I have no light at the end of the tunnel now? Why would the Detroit Red Wings then have a better season than me? Because if Colorado gets nothing at the end of this tunnel, I'm happy. The Red Wings are in the best position in the entire NHL right now.
The pandemic sucks for everyone, Brad.
No, I agree, but I could hear the argument from the other side. Because if there is no end to the season, the team that wins the draft lottery had the best season. So you could sit here and tell me the Red Wings were historically bad and had the best 1920. That is a very statistically likely outcome right now. If there's no season and the Red Wings win the draft lottery, which are the two most likely outcomes. Yeah, fair enough. But still, if the Red Wings win the draft lottery and there's no conclusion to the seasons, we win 1920. That's no bullshit. So I could see why a playoff team would be angry if they don't get a sweetener. Now, they could do creative. Every team that would have qualified for the playoffs gets a compliance buyout and everybody below it doesn't. Okay, fine, cool. There's going to have to be something, though.
If you could pick between two things, those two options, either playoff teams get a compliance buyout and non-playoff, like lottery teams don't, but the lottery teams maintain the lottery odds, or everyone gets a compliance buyout, but then everyone gets some proportional chance at first overall, what would you pick?
Whatever gives us the highest odds at first overall. I'm not compromising that. That's my priority number one above all else right now.
70
draft
games
position.
70 games is such a big sample. It's practically a full season worth of sample size. That's all. The Red Wings have it locked. You cannot take that away.
What I would be here for is if it's a modified draft lottery and the Red Wings odds at whatever first overall don't change, but the non-playoff teams get in the draft lottery and they could win to jump up to, let's say, pick 10.
I think they should have, like I mentioned before, 2 lotteries. Lottery teams keep their own. Non-lottery teams or playoff teams do one there to jump from 31 to 16 or whatever it is.
Yeah, I could see that.
Like, do it split. You still have a benefit. You jump up, a whole half a round. And half a round in the first round is an insane amount of value. That's the biggest 15-pick jump that you could possibly have in the entire draft. So that would be a decent reward. I don't know. Like, I can't look at this from a non-Red Wings fan perspective because there's just no... We're so embedded. Like, there's no way we went through all that crap to watch frickin' Tampa Bay win Alexi Lafreniere, right?
Would you, if you were a playoff team, what if there was some kind of like head start program for the 2021 season where if you won your division when, as of now, if the season's canceled, you get 5 points to start next season. Teams below you get 4 points, 3 points, cascading. So you get a head start. You have earned something from this season, but we're not putting you in the draft lottery.
But if you turn that down, you get in the draft lottery?
Sure. I'd be here for that kind of chaos.
I'd take the draft lottery if I was a playoff team.
If I was a lower ranked playoff team, I would. But if I was Boston, Tampa team angling for a cup, give me the 5 points. I want that cushion. Injury insurance.
I bet you they take the pick because they know they're going to be better than other teams.
You would take 1% in the draft lottery versus 5 points in the standings?
Yeah, if they're confident they'll make the playoffs and they can beat anybody, I would.
I think that's where for a cup contender, you're going to make the playoffs, but those 5 points, that could be the difference between you making the playoffs and you winning the division or you winning the conference. Home ice matters to a lot of these teams.
I'm taking the percentage. I like to live dangerously.
Yeah, you like an idiot that I know says all the time, if you have a chance at Alexi Lafreniere, you take it.
If you have a chance at a Stanley Cup, that's the ultimate goal. So you take that. We're taking this approach as a lottery team. Remember what we would have done in 2008 or 2009 or 2010 to up our odds at the Cup. We would have done anything.
All right, I'm going to move us over to overtime. And on this midweek episode of the Winged Wheel podcast, we are going to make this Patreon exclusive as our way of saying thanks for supporting the show. We're going to start with Kyle Sander, who says, "Howdy, boys. It's your friendly neighborhood essential worker here, checking in. It's been a while since I've commented. Allow me to sum up my life lately. Work, consume Netflix movies, more work, developed a nasty Red Bull dependency, and to shake things up, more work, kicked the Red Bull habit, played some Chell, and was able to fix my wacky sleep schedule. Anyways, hockey question. Say that a player dies halfway through his contract. What happens after regarding the cap space?"
Has that ever happened?
I know when Sherpanov passed away in Russia, New York got a compensatory draft pick.
I assume the cap hit would just disappear because, my God, you can't punish a team for that.
Yeah.
Because I don't think there's a GM that's going to go out and throw a hit on a player with a bad contract, so the team should be punished for it. Well, there's no reason to not just wipe it, right?
No, and that's the part of the CBA that I don't think is often discussed. But no, I think there's provisions in place so that teams aren't punished for that. Like when Alexei Sherpanov passed away in Russia, he was a Rangers prospect. That was a tragic situation, obviously. I believe the Rangers did get a compensatory draft pick. So in that same vein, I don't think teams would be held to the cap. I'll dig into that a little bit.
It says across all sports, life insurance will typically kick in and give some or all of the money to the player's estate. This occurred in the NBA when Bobby Phils was killed in a car crash in 2000. His contract was worth $20 million and was fully guaranteed and paid to his family. Salary won't count against the team's salary cap, as in the NBA. Bunch of different reasons. I'm trying to read this very quickly, but yeah, it sounds like insurance would pay it out.
Time for a less serious question. Favorite hockey themed euphemism, i.e. pulling the goalie as another term for pounding one out.
Slapping the pee-pee. Pee-pee whack.
Is there...
Trying to think.
Pucks in deep. I don't know. I don't use hockey euphemisms.
Clap bombs.
Ferk moms.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always been my go-to.
That's not a euphemism, though, is it?
Popping bottles.
It's just a lifestyle.
Effing models.
Anywho, I'm out of here. For the love of God, if you're going to wear masks and gloves, please wear them properly. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people reach up with a gloved hand to scratch under the N95 masks or answer their phone holding their gloved hand and then hold it right next to their face. Mini rant over. Adios. Brett S. says, hey fellas, I have 2 future type questions for you. When targeting draft picks for a trade, what do you think has more value? Getting a 2021 draft pick because a player would be able to have a year more of development, or a 2022 draft pick because you have a chance at Lambert, Savoie, or Wright?
I think it always goes to the better skill set of the draft, but that would be heavily subjective, right? I would rather a 2022 pick because I feel like that's a much stronger draft than 2021, but you also have to factor in where's the pick going to be and what's the state of your franchise, right? So if you're going to have the chance to grab, let's say, 10th overall pick, but you're a team that's in your window or about to be your window, you probably want that guy in your lineup ASAP. So it's probably better to get the 2021 pick because, hey, maybe he's in the lineup by the 2022-23 season. Again, if you're Detroit, it doesn't matter. Give me the 2022 pick. Give me the extra lottery ball at Shane Wright. If I'm Colorado, no, get me a body in my lineup ASAP.
And how do we feel about a player like Michael Granlund as a free agent? He seems like someone who'd be great to play with Mantha or Zadina, and is young enough that in a few years could be a serviceable 3C or wing. Thanks, from Brett.
I'm a big fan of Michael Granlund. I have a gut feeling he's going to be one of those free agents that gets heavily overpaid this summer.
Yep.
Nice. Phil Brown says, salutations, guys. Thought I would finally support the show with more than just shopping your logo on Brett Hull's chest. Thank you, Phil, and welcome to the Dub Dub family. He says, first, I couldn't help but notice a couple episodes ago that Brad couldn't recall the German word for 6. It's sex. You're welcome.
Ooh. I'm so disappointed in myself. I didn't remember that.
My question is this. If we had not lost Konstantinov and Fisher, how many more cups, if any, would we have won? Been listening to the pod since year 1. Thanks for providing some light in this dark hellscape of sports world. Thank you, Phil.
Less than if we had Gretzky and Bure.
I think Konstantinov could have moved the needle on one more cup.
Konstantinov and Fisher. I'm trying to think of the years. The Red Wings, they were good in 99, 2000, 2001, but I don't think they were major threats that year, any of those years. Maybe 99 they could have got another one. 03 they probably should have.
Yeah, 03 is what comes to mind there, where there's vastly underperforming team that range.
05, 06 they should have. I don't know how effective Konstantinov still would have been at that point, but Fisher was just coming into his prime, so
Konstantinov would have been like late 30s by then. So
he was drafted the same year as Lidstrom. So yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'll say I'm still angry. The Red Wings should have more than one cup in the cap era. They absolutely should have more than just 08. I don't know what to blame that on. That's
09.
05, 06. 09, those two at least.
It's hard to win a Stanley Cup, man.
Oh, I know it is. I know.
David says, howdy, got a hypothetical question for y'all. If you were in charge of marketing for some minor league hockey team and you needed to create the ultimate theme night that would sell out your rink, what theme would you go with? Hope all is well. I'm going to go get back to work to try to teach physics to high schoolers without internet. Oh man, David, you are a hero for that. Ultimate theme night.
$2 beers. Doesn't matter the theme.
I was going to say.
I'll make my own theme at that point.
I don't know. What would be a fun theme night at a hockey game? I guess it would be very locale dependent, but
Jeff Lowe commented and said Tiger King night, and it's not even a debate. And I think Jeff Lowe is right on that one.
I'm here for it. 90s nights are always fun, but a little overdone.
Bring your pets night.
Yeah, logistically tough, but could be done.
Only Ric Flair woo night and no Ric Flair woo night.
I was going to say some kind of pro wrestling theme could be fun. That could get a little chaotic.
Alex Ott says, hey fellas, hope you're doing well. Short one this time. Which player would be more frustrating to coach? A player with Mantha's shot but Filppula's reluctance to shoot, or a player that has Larkin's skill and impact but takes 3 penalties a game? Larkin is a player with Larkin's skill and impact and takes 3 penalties a game already, so I'll go with Mantha's shot but Filppula's reluctance to shoot.
Oh my God, we had that player. Except we called him Riley Sheahan.
Yeah.
Remember Riley Sheahan's shot?
He had a great snapshot.
When he literally scored a goal and nobody knew it? You remember that one?
Yeah.
It was, oh my God. Sheahan is still, to me, the biggest I don't get it of any Red Wings prospect.
Mark says, hey boys, what are your favorite off-ice training tools? Synthetic ice, green biscuits, hockey stick wraparounds, stick handling balls, anything you might use that I didn't list. Also thoughts on the added episode of Tiger King, Terry be damned.
Okay, so off-ice, nobody, I'd say Rapid Shop, but nobody has the kind of money to put that in their house. So if you have access to like a public Rapid Shot anywhere, go for that. Ryan and I are probably both biting the bullet on a Super Deker soon because I absolutely love that. It really depends what type of player you are. Like, for the way I play hockey, anything to improve my puck handling, I'm going to take. So Super Deker is good. Any type of physical obstacle you can put in on a sheet. Any type of tile setup is good.
Wrist and ankle weights.
I'm not a big believer in those. It helps your power, but to me it screws up your timing.
Pavel Datsyuk would like to know your location.
Yammer Yager and those massive weights he used to wear around his ankles in practice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you want to wear them on your body for strength, sure. But like those stick weights and stuff like that, don't do that.
Sean Chavarella says, hey guys, so I have a question and or fun activity for you three. I have 3 players. 2 of them are 4-time Stanley Cup champs and 1 is 3-time. I want each of you to pick a player and debate why they should be in the Hall of Fame. Draper, Osgood, and Holmstrom. Also, if you think it's too much effort, which one do you think, if any, deserve to be in the Hall?
Didn't I just say a couple episodes ago that Chris Osgood is potentially an overrated player? Goalie?
Yeah, you did.
You did, and I don't think we entirely disagreed with you. My answer here is I don't think any of them deserve to be in the Hall of Fame.
I think all 3 of them, to some degree, are in the Hall of Very Good. If they went in, I think they would be considered one of the more light picks, but not out of this world considering some other picks for the Hall of Fame. But they definitely, it would have to be a weak class in my mind.
They are Hall of Famers at their respective niche. Chris Draper is a 4th-line Hall of Famer. Thomas Holmstrom is a net front Hall of Famer. Chris Osgood is a game manager Hall of Famer.
Chris Osgood, Tom Brady, question mark?
Oh, God.
They fit the roles perfectly on very, very, very good teams. But I think if you subtract them from those very, very good teams, they do not stand out or add their dynamic the way that they do on those teams.
Everett Johnson with a hard hitter here. Are Pop-Tarts ravioli?
Yes. No, they're not.
Because it's not a pasta shell, right?
Right. It's in bread.
Yeah.
But pasta, bread, all grains.
Not the same thing.
The argument can be made.
No, Brad, come on.
Is cereal soup?
That would mean donuts are...
No.
There's no pasta shaped like a donut.
A Boston cream could be a ravioli.
Oh, man. Stop that.
I'm fat enough right now from this isolation.
First of all, you've done 2 things there, Brad. 1, display a fundamental misunderstanding of pasta shapes, and 2, made me incredibly and morbidly curiously hungry. Jeff Lowe says, hey guys, I'm here to take over the podcast. I know all about the censorship of patrons that's been going on and the just terrible takes. I'll be cleaning house and bringing in the sweetest hitman you could hire. We all know Brad is his own worst enemy, and there's no question in my mind that he did it. I know on Twitter they try to sensationalize the story a little bit to give it a villain, and the villain is right here. Follow up to the last episode. Can you please do more in-depth reporting on the potential players in the second round that you think the Red Wings could/should target? I recognize the draft isn't entirely unpredictable and those picks could be quite valuable if guys start slipping. Perhaps bundling picks and moving up in the second round is advantageous if someone they love has slipped big. It's fun to hypothesize, so have at it.
Okay, well, I'm not going to do anything with the late second round picks because it's just way too many variables that go into it. If we're looking at like our first second round pick, this is basically where I would look at the guys that I have ranked 19 to 31 because they're going to fall. Like, I'm not going to nail this 31 out of 31. So if one of the guys like Peterka or Reichel, who I have ranked like high 20s, are still there, like when you get 27, 28, 29, yeah, I probably start looking at trying to trade up, depending how many guys fall. If like 5 guys you really like fall, no sense trading up because you know you're going to get one of them. If you want that steady, all around, just really good defenseman, kind of good at everything, but not spectacular, you take a Ryan O'Rourke. He could be this year's Jared McIsaac for us. If you want, again, we already talked about Noel Gunler. If he slips, there's your home run swing, and there's a good possibility he slips. Same with Hendrix Lapierre. All the talent to be a top 10, top 15 pick, but for him, it's not character issues, it's injury issues. If Maverick Bourque was a few inches taller, he's a top 15 pick, but here we go. Jacob Perreault, a guy who could score the lights out, but is not a good skater. You could take a swing at him. There's a lot of guys in this range where it gets super interesting. So I just look at those guys in that range and get super excited that one of them might slip. A Joe Veleno, but not quite to that extreme.
Yeah, if we have a license here to talk about guys who could slip or at least realistic at that like 32 range, other than who Brad listed, and like those are all really, really great candidates for that. Like Reichel and Peterka would be like home runs, or Peterka would be fantastic in my mind, especially. Niederbach is someone who we talked about last episode. Like if the Red Wings don't end up with a centerman with their first pick, that's a potential high talent center that they can grab in the second round. And he's not always ranked very high in the first round. He's often ranked late first. So that's another one where you can look for him. If you want to get crazy, there's a lot of arguments about Jake Sanderson in the first round. Let's say those arguments carry steam in one direction, the negative direction, and that he's not seen as refined enough to be a first round pick.
There's no way.
No chance.
He's not even going to be in the he's not even going to be there at 15.
There's a better chance Detroit gets him at 4 than 32.
Don't you take that back right now.
And after Sider last year, I'm putting nothing off the table here.
Roni Hirvonen. Yeah, that's how you say it, right?
Sure.
Another centerman. Again, he's small, phenomenal hands. That's a guy who I'd be excited to be able to grab in the second round, wherever it is.
I would love it if a guy like Zion Nybeck fell to one of... I wouldn't even be upset with him at 32, but if he fell to one of our late seconds, man, he's like, what, 5'2", I'm pretty sure, but tons and tons and tons of skill. Maxim Groshev would be one of my targets with our late seconds as well. Like, tons of skill. Just hasn't quite put it all together yet, so... Man, I love how deep this draft is. I think we can get legitimately 3 studs in the second round with the 3 picks. But the problem is that list of guys that could be is legitimately 40 players long.
Zion Nybeck is 5'8", not 5'2".
I know.
There's another guy.
Ryan.
I looked it up. I was like, really?
Sarcasm, buddy.
I'm still all over James Hardy from Mississauga as someone who could be targeted in the late second. Another guy I saw on a list that was maybe a little bit lower than I thought was Tyson Forster for Barrie. Mm-hmm. I saw him play this year, and he was really good. I think this year he actually was more than a point per game player. So there's another guy who's kind of been all over the map in terms of his draft ranking, and he could be there late second.
Did you say James Hardy?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, he played for Mississauga. I think he scores goals like crazy.
Okay, jersey time. Which Canadian Junior League has the best jerseys? OHL versus QMJHL versus WHL.
Ooh, that's tough. I'm gonna go with the Dub.
The Dubs are good.
The Dubs are good. You look at like Kelowna, Calgary, Everett, Seattle, Vancouver. I can think of so many good ones. Brandon, Winnipeg. They got a lot of good jerseys out west. Like a lot. And like good and unique good. There's a lot of good ones in the OHL, but they're not original. Because how could you argue against the Kitchener Rangers jerseys? They're just the New York Rangers jerseys, so we automatically love them, but they're not original, right? So
the Q is really good for having pretty interesting original jerseys as well. Although I do think the Dub has them beat.
Yeah.
The nanny is excellent. Stay fresh cheese bags. Don Mitchell says, "Hi guys, been a minute. I'm sure you've missed my dumb comments." Mentions the Red Wings North America versus World rosters. What are some of your isolation binges? I'm rewatching Scrubs and starting The Outsider. Stay safe and cheers, Don.
I haven't watched nearly as much TV as I was hoping to, so I'm still catching up on shows I've been trying to catch up on for a year now. So I'm almost fully caught up on Homeland because the new season's out right now, and I'm starting in finally on the final season of Orphan Black, which I've been meaning to do for about a year and a half now. So those are my two go-tos at the moment.
I've been watching old Masters tournaments. So far I've watched 95 and 96.
That's not right. It was 1986, 97, and 2005.
Didn't they still use wood golf balls in 1986?
Oh, there was actually some really good golf that year. That was the year Jack won.
Wasn't every year the year Jack won?
Pretty much. What a year it was.
I'm going to move on because I can't have this conversation anymore. Yakaruta says, I had a weird dream where I wound up being with you guys in a recording studio. Before the show, you gave me a bottle of Jägermeister and a bottle of Coke. Am I listening to this podcast too much? Yeah, how'd you get access to our pre-shows? It's supposed to, we don't record those for a reason. Kwaz says, what's up, my dudes? Been a bit. With all this COVID-19 shenanigans, would have thought I would get busier. Not me. Fun fact, they say you can tell the difference between a Navy and an Air Force airfield just by looking at the tire marks on the runway. I'll link one of each here for you guys. I have not opened this up yet. There's a distinct reason why one looks like the way it does. Can you guess? I'll give you a hint. One lands on ships. So it's two pictures. One is, oh, that's funny. Yeah, just like fully worn down runways, and I think one of them is this is failing miserably, so I'm gonna have to review this for next episode. I'm sorry. They land on ships. You guys land, oh, that's right, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna move along here. That would have been better when we were sharing screens. I'm sorry, Kwaz, I didn't prepare enough for that. Antonio Gracia says, introduce my fiance with Community on Netflix, #6 seasons in a movie. Man, that show in its heyday is like premier comedy.
What show? Sorry,
Community.
Yeah.
Binge recommendations other than Tiger King. Ozark is another show where I watched the first season and loved it, and actually just not have watched the second and third yet. But apparently they're both really great.
Yeah, I'm getting through The Office right now.
If anyone hasn't watched Parks and Rec, do it. I promise you. The first season is a little painful. After that, I genuinely think it's one of the best comedies of all time.
I think it's better than The Office. That might be a bit of a hot take, but I'm enjoying it. I enjoyed that show more than I'm enjoying The Office now.
But I like Brooklyn Nine-Nine better than both.
Fair. Yeah. Brooklyn Nine-Nine has hardly had... I don't think Brooklyn Nine-Nine has ever had 2 bad episodes in a row.
No, I'm not an Andy Samberg guy, so it's just...
Neither am I. This is about the only thing he's in that I can say is like on any of my favorites lists.
Garrett TV says, hi, socially isolated hockey amigos. One logistical, then one hockey question. First, how are each of you getting such clear and seamless audio while remote? Oh, man, it is a grind.
If you guys want to know what your Patreon contributions go to, a good chunk of it went to these microphones.
Mike's a lot of mixing software. Oh, man, have we learned a lot. I could probably get a minor right now in audio mixing for all of you audio engineers listening, I know that's not true. I know next to nothing, but we've had to look up a lot in terms of like back end processing. If you want to know the details, shoot me a DM and I'll give you a very boring list of stuff that we do. Hockey stuffs. Pick one player to be quarantined with from each of our opponents in 97, 98, 02, and 08 Cups. Who do you pick? So a Flyers player, a Caps player, etc.
Like
man.
From that year or just any Flyers player?
I guess from that year, I would have a hard time picking out players from those years, though. 97 Flyers.
97 Flyers. Give me Ron Hextall. I'm here for a bit of crazy.
Oh, yeah. 98.
98, the Capitals there.
Yeah.
Oh, man, Peter Bonder is one of my favorite hockey players from the 90s. How could I not?
02, Archers Urbe. I think that would be an awesome one.
Rod Brendamore would be interesting.
Oh, Rod the Bod.
I would be in such good shape for once.
Oh, yeah.
I'd say Jeff O'Neill, but I've listened to him enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'd go with Urbe. I like the weird goalies.
08. I think I'd go Flower on that one. I think he seems like a cool guy.
08. I hate the Penguins so much. I mean, just to pick his brain, I'd have to go Sid.
Matt Whipple says, hey, love the podcast. Who's your favorite underrated prospect in the Red Wings system? And if you could take a prospect from any other team, who would it be? Thanks.
Oh,
Chris
man.
Terry.
Can he even be considered one?
No. It was a joke.
Prospect I'd steal is Trevor Zegras. Straight up.
Okay, so favorite underrated prospect from the Red Wings system. The problem is I'm so in the weeds with all of this that like I feel like I could go 15 players deep and not consider them underrated.
I'll go Jared McIsaac just because people have forgotten his promise because of his injuries.
Man, okay, I'll give you one that's probably not that much of a hot take, and then one that's a major hot take. So my not that hot take is I've come way up on Robert Mastrosimone. And if we're going off the board, I don't know why, but Carter Gylander has really grown on me as a goalie prospect. Long-term project, but I think maybe we actually have something there. He put up ungodly numbers in the AJ this year. So he was on a stacked team, so that gives me pause, which is why I think the rest of the world isn't on his hype train yet. But I'll go with Mastrosimone and Gylander. And then if I could steal a prospect from another team, oh man. Yeah, Zegras is hard to go against. For the sake of being different, the Red Wings have a real bad need for a left-handed D. I'll go Bowen Byram.
Evan, are there any words for you left to choose after that?
I'll give you another left-handed D, Alexander Romanov.
Oh, that's a great pick.
Yeah, that's not a bad
Who has declared his intention to sign with Montreal. All right, last one here from Stay Fresh Onion Bags of Fournier Company. It says, hey, fellows, thanks for the shout-out to Fred's last episode and to anyone who donated. It's greatly appreciated while we continue to pick up the pieces. I'm at the point where my dreams consist of me saying hi to my friends and giving them a hug. Not sex, not romance, just in-person human contact. Time to lighten things up with a lightning round of questions for each of you to quickly answer. Favorite Transformer, Autobot, or Decepticon?
I can only name Optimus Prime.
I'll go with Bumblebee.
Starscream. Favorite meat?
Like, are we getting
yes.
ultra specific, or could I just
Yes.
say like, beef?
Duck.
Pork is the king of meats.
Favorite 90s band? Chili
Backstreet
Peppers.
Boys.
Blink 182.
Van Gogh or Monet?
Van Gogh.
Monet.
He's weird, though.
Pass.
Favorite Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle?
Donatello.
Yeah.
Yes.
Donatello.
Master Splinter.
Pff, nice. How do you like your eggs?
Scrambled.
In my mouth.
Sunny side up. If not, Gordon Ramsay scrambled eggs. LeBron or Jordan?
Oh, Jordan.
Yeah, I'll take Jordan.
I didn't grow up with Jordan. I love watching LeBron. So LeBron for entertainment, Jordan if you have to make me pick the GOAT. Oh, this one's funny. Parks and Rec or The Office?
Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec. Favorite Steve Yzerman goal? That's a stupid question. Unless anyone has a different answer than the Gretzky
Okay,
steal.
second favorite Yzerman goal. Let's call
Any
an
goal
audible
he
in the
scored
question.
with one knee.
Yeah, the one against Carolina, I think it was Carolina late in his career where he was playing on one leg and basically went around everyone and then went backhand shelf, I believe it was.
Okay, I'm going to pick kind of an obscure one. Remember that one in the
Where
playoff?
Gretzky had it and then lost it, that one?
No, it was in the conference finals against Colorado. It was a tie game late. I can't remember the game number, where he pulled kind of that Zetterberg move under the stick, shot it, Waugh stopped it, but then as he was skating behind the net, banked it in off Waugh for the go-ahead goal late in the third. Remember that one? That one. I love that goal. That one gets me fired up.
Favorite bathroom candle scent? Fresh balsam.
Anything like vanilla.
Cocoa butter.
Sleeping with a partner who talks in their sleep or farts in their sleep?
Talks in their sleep.
Farts.
Everyone farts in their sleep.
Yeah, and my wife and daughter both talk in their sleep, so I'm very used to it.
Favorite stand-up comic?
Oh, God. I'm going to have to narrow that one down.
If it's not Carlin, it's John Mulaney for me.
I've seen Bill Burr live. That was really good. I do like Ricky Gervais a lot, and I do still like Louis C.K. a ton.
I've seen Jim Jeffries live. Big fan of his.
Filing taxes or waiting in line at the DMV. We don't really have waiting in line at our equivalent of DMV. It's pretty fast.
Are you kidding me? Come to the one on Victoria Street, man. If I'm in and out of there in an hour, it's a win. So,
you can pick any one, right?
I know, but the drive time balances out. Anyways, I'd still rather wait in line and screw around on my phone than have to deal with that mountain of paperwork.
Guaranteed second overall pick this year or giving Brad Marchand 5 random slaps How I Met Your Mother style? That's tough.
God, because, I still want the draft lottery odds. Yeah, let's slap Marchand and just roll with the draft lottery odds.
You do it just because you'll be able to get that's a great story out.
And I'm not, there's not that big a gap between second overall and fourth overall for me, so I'm still happy.
Cake or pie?
Pie. It literally depends on the flavors.
Give me pie or give me death.
I'll go pie if I had to do some kind of apple cinnamon to trump everything else.
Favorite Wes Anderson movie?
Oh, that's so easy. Grand Budapest Hotel.
It's got
that is the culmination of his work.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell you more than 2 of his movies.
Isle of Dogs.
Haven't seen it.
What's Fantastic Mr. Fox?
Haven't seen it.
Yeah.
What's the camp movie? I forget what it's called. That one.
Headliner and 2 opening acts for your perfect dream concert. Oh shit!
Nickelback and Avril Lavigne.
With Smash Mouth. Yeah, that's it right there.
There we go. The perfect answer.
Canoeing or rappelling? Canoeing.
Repelling.
My vertigo may not enjoy rappelling.
You have vertigo?
It just has a mind of its own, but somehow when I snowboard, it's all good.
Changing history, so the Wings beat the Chicago in 2013 or San Jose in 2011? You go 2011 because they had a better team then, right?
I'm going to go 2011 because give me that chance at beating Boston in the finals. Give me that satisfaction.
2 extra healthy seasons of Datsuk, Zetterberg, or Rafalski. I think Rafalski means they challenged for another cup.
I think due to the timeline, the answer has to be Rafalski, but if we're going just on the player, it's Datsuk.
Yeah.
Top 3 most hated players in the league right now besides Marchand. So maybe we pick one each.
Oh, man.
Can we say
I don't
Marchand?
really hate anyone right now.
Oh, I got a few.
I love watching, Malkin's one of the best players in the world, but whenever he throws one of his tantrums, it just annoys me to no end.
I hate Duncan Keith.
Yeah, those are good ones. Okay, I'm going to give 2 answers because the one I can't not pick Corey Perry. But do you know who's really starting to drag on me and who I'm getting a distaste for like you are with Malkin? Kucherov. He is a dirty, whiny player. I can't argue how good he is, but man, Kucherov's done some shit and he's won nothing. So, yeah, but Corey Perry is the correct answer here.
Open palm slapping Gary Bettman or Eugene Melnick. Oh, that's Eugene,
Melnick.
Obviously.
I still don't get over the Bettman hate.
Yeah,
I still can't figure that out.
I don't
It's a
hate
meme at
Bettman.
this
He's
point.
a puppet for the owners.
And I think he does a good job. Gronberg, Lambert, or Gallant?
Sorry, say all those names again.
Ricard Gronberg, Lambert from the Islanders, or Gallant, who was fired from Vegas?
I'm going to say Gallant because he would be such a good fit.
Gallant by a hair.
Yeah, I hate the cycle of the NHL recycling the same 31 coaches over and over again, but Gallant was the best of them. So, yeah, I'll take the certainty versus the gamble.
Favorite cheese?
In my
Beanster.
mouth.
I honestly have not met a cheese I don't like. Blue cheese and honey is one of my favorite snacks. Blue cheese and honey on like a cracker or like a plain baguette is one of my favorite snacks. All right. We are going to, every episode, I'm like, oh, this will be a short one, hour 25. We're going to wrap up this episode of the Winged Wheel podcast. Guys, stay tuned. We have some pretty exciting things coming down the pipeline. Pay attention on Twitter, and to all of our patrons, thank you so much for supporting us and keeping this podcast going through the weirdest time any of us have been through in our lives. We'd like to thank all of our patrons, our name level sponsors, Terry, Arjun Shanker, Brad Smith, Andrew Bohan, Scott Martin, Kayla Thompson, Jacob Turner, Matt McKay, Brandon M., Matthew M. Rice, Luke Johnson, Ryan Lewis, Langabir, Clayton Van Dyken, Kaylin Wood, Hassam Al-Qassem, Charlie Elkins, Hannah Lee, Sean Levine, Alex Ott, Ashley Van Conant, Chris Frank, Connor Leightonen, Danny Jr., Matthew Keeler, Craig Kibble, Simon Anderson, Antonio Gracias, John Evans, Kay Waz, and Stan Olson. Thank you all. We love you, and we will talk to you soon.
Thanks for tuning in to the Winged Wheel Podcast. Be sure to check out wingedwheelpodcast.com, where you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. You'll also find links to other ways to support the show, such as Patreon, official podcast apparel, and more. And don't forget to follow the show on Twitter at Winged Wheel Pod. And of course, the hosts at Brad Crisco, at Ryan Hanna WWP, and at Hockey Town Evan.